Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stomp you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. You serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men, or should I say, male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Really good, though. Don't call that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Film. Community, heart,
What's going on, people? I'm bringing my special guest host. This is Crazy D, and you're watching TFR Podcast Live presents Observations by Crazy D with my special guest host, my sister Tonya M Congress. What's going on with you today?
What is happening? How's our listening audience today? We welcome y'all. Welcome to another information-filled day here on Observations on the TFR Podcast Live franchise. How you doing today, D?
Hey, I'm doing as well as can be expected under the circumstances. You know, that's our new slogan, our new saying. You know, I mean, we were saying that for the COVID, but we're really saying it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just the way it
absolutely.
is. Yep.
Right.
So we are on, people. We want to say welcome to the show, right? As we get started, let's run it down. Of course, this is brought to you by Back in Cleveland movie, available on hard copy DVD, also available to stream for just $2.99 on Lordlandfilms.com. That's Lordlandfilms.com. You go right there, you can either order it to have your hard copy, to have American Black history in your hands, or you can stream it for $2.99, or you can also own it in your digital library on demand. That's right. So just go over to Lordlandfilms.com after the show, you know, right? So we want to get that out the way. Also, again, you're watching hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB, TFR Podcast Live OB with the hashtag in the front. Make sure you go over to Cash App, $ TFR Podcast Live, and smash a few dollars on that. You like what you're hearing, right? And don't forget, 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358, so we can hear your thoughts on what we observe in these memes and these different videos that we come up with. Also, we are simulcasting on 4 platforms. I swear that we are the only platform that's doing so because we make it happen. We are on Periscope, at TFR Podcast Live. We're on Facebook on the Film Review Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast page. Make sure that you like it, follow it. We're also streaming on Crazy Dion page, and my sister should have the link and put it up on her page, and it'll be streaming on Tonya M Congress page. We're also on Vimeo, right? The Film Review. Just go hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB, and it will come up for you, and you'll be able to watch it right there on Vimeo. And of course, we are streaming live on YouTube. That's right. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, the Film Review Life channel. That's right. The Film Review Life channel on YouTube. Go right there. You type in TFR Podcast Live OB, hashtag in the front, and it'll come right up, and you'll be able to watch us, and you'll be able to comment there. You'll be able to comment here. You'll be able to comment everywhere, and call in again, 213-943-3358. So now, what's been going on with you? And, tell us something about what's been going on with you this morning as I do some population.
It is crazy. We were talking about this earlier today, this morning, how the information is such a flood of information, and it's crazy. And to me, I'm a bit controversial, so I like it when we get flagged for. We got flagged for a couple of things, didn't we, yesterday? And I like it when we get flagged. That means that we are giving information. See, this is what you're going to have to set. Another thing you're going to have to set your mind to, folks. Whenever you're being told that something is not true by non-traditional media means, then you have to consider the opposite. So what you see on mainstream media, most of the time, whatever they're telling you just gear your mind to thinking opposites. So what's accepted by the status quo, thinking opposites. What's not accepted by the status quo, thinking acceptance. All right. So that's how you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to condition your mind to consider greater those things that are not part of the status quo of media and news reporting, right? And I see, even after I've restarted my computer and everything and got it ready, it's buffering again, which is something else that I'm used to considering giving out information. I never had problems with computers like I do since I've been a person that gives online information of any kind. Okay, so this kind of goes with the territory, but it's so much going on. And so we were flagged for something, especially when you have on YouTube and on Instagram, those flags that come up as supposed false information, fact checkers. I want to know who the fact checkers are. And I would like to know what their special interest is. I don't consider them as neutral parties. I consider those as people who are put there. And I've never seen so much fact checking before this period of time with elections and things like that. It's all kinds of fact checking going on now that you have more people that are waking up from the traditions of men in every area. So, cool. That's fine. I don't mind if you say, check the facts. Go ahead, check the facts. I bet you'll get a ratio that's greater than that of the mainstream media as far as research and things like that. So yeah, by all means, check the facts. They put it up there. You go check the facts. And you'll probably find out even more to validate the things that we're telling you. Wouldn't you say that, D?
Yeah, I'll say that, as we go through population, right? But we're not gonna hark on that. That's just something to distract you off and move you into constantly complaining. And we're not going to constantly complain, because there's nothing to constantly complain about. See, that's one of the things that we've done as American blacks, is we complain. And when you complain, who are you complaining to? Because they're not going to do anything about what they're doing, because they're doing it. So are you complaining to make yourself feel? But you have to ask yourself this: are you complaining to make yourself feel better? Are you complaining because you think that someone out there is going to listen to your plight and then they're going to change their ways? Or are you getting your gumption up to get it moving? And that's what it is. So we don't harbor and hang on that, because we know what it is when you're dropping out information, right? That the people will, some people, they, who are they? I used to have a buddy that would say, who are they? They, the ones who are doing what they're doing. They, that's who, quote unquote, they is. You know what they does. You know what they do. So it's no problem. So as we populate, we're glad to see the people come in. We appreciate you watching. Again, you're watching #TFRPodcastLive presents Observations Show with myself, Crazy D, and my special guest host, Tonya. That's right. Make sure that you smash the like button, smash the share button, and let people know that we're on. And make sure you go over to that Cash App, $TFR Podcast Live, and press a few dollars on that. You know what I mean? Press a few dollars. The links are in the description, right? So you don't have to worry about that. Now we're ready to get started, because I've hit quite a few of the people here that we usually hit. You can hear the ding, 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 ding,
Yep.
ding, 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 ding. We're getting ready to set it off this morning. Okay, people. So when we left you on the last installment of the show, good morning, bingo, all politics, so-called fact checkers. That's what Tracy Latrice said. Bingo! Good morning. Let me just say like and reply and say good morning. All right, people. All right, now we're ready to begin. All right, so when we left you on the cliffhanger yesterday, we were talking about a Sikh. Now, we call them Sikh, but when I actually talk to a Sikh, I say, how do you pronounce your cultural name? And he said, it's Sikh, not Sikh, but Sikh, right? So we left you with the Sikh talking about this. So we're going to start with this, and we're going to go through and we're going to analyze and break down this video. I gave you a little bit of what I was thinking about it, but we're going to go through it. So let's start with this.
D, before you get started,
Okay.
I need you to send me the link.
Okay. Send the link. Okay, hold up 1 second, people. Here we go. Organization. Okay, here we go. Share. Send to more options. They're not giving. Okay, let me go here. Let me figure out I want to do this. We're live, and we go share. Write a message. Okay, search. All right, people. 1 second here. Send. Okay, I just sent it to you. You should have it.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Yep, got it.
People. So we left off with the Sikh, right? And so we're going to play what the Sikh was talking about right now. So let's play this, and then we're going to pause, and we're going to have a little analyzation about it.
The man on the face of the $20 bill is the same man who once offered up to 325 times that amount for the return of a runaway enslaved person, including extra bonuses for every 100 lashes inflicted upon that man. He was a master planter who fertilized American soil with Native American bodies and hydrated southern cotton fields with the blood and sweat of free black labor.
Now, when they're talking, we have to pause real quick. We have to clarify. You have to go research and read how they described the native, quote unquote, the Native Americans that they saw when Andrew Jackson was killing up Indians, especially in Florida. You have to go there and you have to see who the Creoles, this the name alone should tell you. You go research and find out what Indians, and there are drawings of the Indians that they were killing, right? And this is what this show is about, because you know Trump has Andrew Jackson sitting on his a bust sitting on his behind his desk in the White House. You know how like Obama had Martin Luther King? Well, he has Andrew Jackson sitting back there, right? So you have to go research what the Indians look like and what group of people came across the Bering Straits afterwards and emulated what they saw in the natives by using feathers to emulate what the natives were doing with their... That's another story for another time. So we have to give you context. So it's not what you see. You don't see the $5 Indians like what you see in a John Wayne movie. That's not the natives that they're talking about that Andrew Jackson was killing, right? So let's continue on.
Such an icon of white supremacy was he that nearly 200 years after launching the violent displacement of 100,000 non-white bodies, a piece of paper with his face on it was all the authorization they needed to suffocate a man to death while the world watched them do it. Big Floyd was murdered by police outside of a grocery store. See, my uncles also operate grocery stores, liquor stores, many...
Okay, so let's pause that for a minute. So he says that his uncle. Now, in the news, fresh off the press. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? This trash that they are trying to pull. Here we go again. Let me bring this up right here. Right. Now, fresh off the news, meme came out early this morning or yesterday evening, but I caught it this morning. It says that the documents say, I guess it must be the coroner documents, they just say documents report that George Floyd had a fatal level of fentanyl in his system. Here we go again. It's already starting. They're trying to find a way. They're trying to find a way to justify him being choked out by a knee by 8 minutes and 40-some seconds. I mean, this is strange, because if he had a fatal level by whose measurement? That's the question. Fatal level by whose measurement? Are you measuring it by what a Caucasian usually can take into their system? If this is even true, but are you measuring it by? Are you measuring it by the fatal levels that are in a Caucasian could take, or are you looking at the fatal levels that a person is 6-something feet tall, certain amount of pounds, African American could take if he had fentanyl in his system, even in the first place? But even if he did, those fatal levels, or if he had fentanyl in his system, he was non-combative. And the dude stayed on his neck for 8 minutes and 40 some seconds. He was non-combative. He wasn't combating. He wasn't trying to fight back. He was asking them what they were doing. Why are you doing it? And please get off my neck. He's going to kill me. Crying out for his mother in the end as he was taking the slip. Before we go on, what do you want to say about that?
Okay, so how long did it take them to find out, to perform an autopsy and get tests back to know that he had fentanyl in his system at fatal levels? I find it interesting that so many weeks have passed. That happened in March. So here's March, April, May, June, July, August. We're in September. So it took them 5 months to find out that he had fentanyl in his system at all, which is something like if I'm not mistaken, when they first take a body in, they do preliminary autopsies and they draw stuff out and run tests that's preliminary. Then they go into more detail. So you mean to tell me fentanyl is a strong drug? So you mean to tell me that in their preliminary investigation of the body, they didn't get any hint of fentanyl in the system? They would have gotten it in the preliminary. So they didn't get that. It took them 5 months to come out. And like you said, and like you were implying, that he had that knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 40 some seconds. It doesn't matter whether you got fentanyl, cocaine, or you don't have nothing in your system. 8 minutes and 40 some seconds is going to kill someone. You're cutting off the circulation in the windpipe. You're cutting off the circulation. Now, again, here we are with this ridiculous commentaries coming from the news that our heads are supposed to screw on and off. And we're supposed to believe that. First of all, it took you 5 months to know that there was fentanyl at all in the system. Then it took you 5 months to find out it was a fatal amount of fentanyl in the system. And then where was the sense of urgency? This was a murder investigation, or it was a question of murder from a police officer to a civilian. So why was there not a sense of urgency in performing the autopsy to know these things ahead of time? See, again, here we go. And we get the reports from the news, but when they don't really care, which they don't even pose that question for there to be any more a dialogue about it or questions about it. They just go on to the next news report. They just go on to the next thing. But there's a lot of questions here. I got 3 right here, right now, so that are very important. So why was there not a sense of urgency? That's all I'm saying. Now you're coming out and saying, well, we just want to let you know that officer, as kooky as he is and needing the FANAP he needed, he didn't get the FANAP he needed. So as kooky as he is and as goofy as he looks, like his elevator only goes to 3 on camera out of 10 floors, we just want to let you know he was not at fault for the 8 minutes and 40 some seconds, let's just say 9 minutes, that he had his knee on the neck of this person. And you're supposed to believe it all because we're giving you up to the date news reports.
Now, people, these are just our observations and opinions. You have to go out and research for yourself and check out the facts for yourself. But these are our opinions, right, on this, right? As we go through this constant zeitgeist that we're going through, right? And we're going to get into it tonight. Like, why is it always this way that they got to come up and try to find some kind of fault? So let's continue with the sick and what he's talking about right now. Okay, so here we go. So now we pick up with the sick, and he talks about his uncles and his people owning liquor stores in the American black community. Here we go.
Marts and so on. That whole generation followed a pretty simple formula. You put your heads down, make your money, send your kids to good schools. See, what that actually meant was put your heads down and don't think about why this formula works out for you but doesn't always work out for everyone else. Why you get to own property in this neighborhood but the people who live here can't. Why liquor stores like yours are on every corner, but fresh produce and after-school programs are pretty hard to come by. And definitely don't consider a centuries-long history in this nation that includes slavery, legalized segregation, a made-up war on drugs, criminalization of black and brown bodies, immunity for police officers when they commit crimes, and that's just to name a few. So what do? We put our heads down. We turned those Jacksons into Benjamins and those Benjamins into Benzes. We became well-educated, well-to-do, and, well, accommodating.
Okay, so let's pause right there. Let's unpack this. Let's unpack this a little bit. Okay. So he goes through and he talks about how they came in. They come in. Remember now, you have to look up while they were passing the Civil Rights Act, 64, 65, 68, they were also passing the Immigration Act of 1965, which then gave immigrants the ability, when all immigrants came in pre-1965, they usually moved where we were and fought the struggle that we were fighting because they were being discriminated against, right? But after 1965, they were able to come in and be legalized. They came in legally, and they were purposely placed in certain places. Like there's certain people who come from Ethiopia, and they placed them in one of the coldest climates. I forget the state. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But they place them in one of the, I think it's upstate, right? The upper states, Vermont or Maine or something, and it's cold. They're coming from a hot climate, and they put them in a cold place to have an economic base because the numbers of people in that particular state are dwindling, right? So you got to go research this. And so why would you put them with Caucasians and why are you steering them away from American blacks, right? So that's one thing. So he's talking this, right? Meanwhile, he's saying that they're culpable because they put their heads down, did what they did to make a buck. They knew what they were doing was wrong because they came from a place where they were oppressed. Remember now, the people who come into this country who have darker melanin, who we think are like us, they come from places where they're looked down on. They come here, they get the opportunity, and then they look down on the people that they're making the opportunity off of. So why is it this way? Well, I want to tell you. This right here is a Tasmanian. He was the last Tasmanian living, right? Because the Germans went in after learning eugenics from American scientists and people like Margaret Sanger. They went in and they experimented on the Tasmanians. White people killed an entire ethnicity of blacks and made a cartoon about it for all to laugh at because next to him is the quote unquote Tasmanian devil. Right? And what is going on is they have not successfully been able to wipe out American blacks. They have not been successful. And so this is what it is. Because remember the premise that we're putting forth to you, which is a solid and based in fact premise that once the free labor was done, why would I want to pay a group of people who were once free labor? I'm going to pay you for the same thing that I got for you for free. And sometimes our own people take on the Caucasian mentality, and so we have to reform. If you want to be a successful people, it's security of your neighborhoods. It's a strong economic base coming from your own businesses in your neighborhood. If you can't get a tax base up in your own neighborhood and you wonder why certain things happen in your neighborhood, you got to look at yourself, because many times you don't support your own. You go into someone else who kind of looks like you. Maybe you like that wavy hair, but I've always had wavy tavy. Maybe you like that. Or maybe you just like the accent or something. But these people are indirectly killing you. And you are also complicit in your own death and destruction of your communities. But for some reason, they have not been able to successfully kill off American blacks, right? And so this is what this is about, because once your value is done, then they don't want to have anything more to do with you. And the same thing with voting. They don't want to have anything to do with you until 4 years. And maybe the people, just had an epiphany. Maybe the people who are raccooning for the Dixiecrats or raccooning for the Repubs are in fear that if we don't vote, then they will try to say that we're worthless altogether. When in actuality, we have to take the stand and hold our vote for them to pay up. What you got to say to that before we go on with the sick?
It's interesting that you would say they take the stance to say that we're worthless altogether if we don't vote, when they could equally say maybe they have they're positioning themselves to function independent of us. I think that if they were smart, they would think more along those lines, that they finally woken up. They're tired of this circus that's going back and forth that benefits them not at all on either side. So they're getting ready to do something else. If they were smart, if they didn't think that we were so inept, if they were smart, they would think more along those lines rather than thinking that we are no value to them because we're not voting. At this point in the wake up, there's a lot for us to wake up to, and they know it. It's a lot for us to wake up to, including, but not limited to, what we're due across the world from people who have stolen from our people. We are American blacks, but a lot of us have descended from other places that are across the world. And so everybody has got to have a mindset, you better get ready to pay up. And this has nothing to do with getting into no shooting fights and gun battles with you or nothing like that. This is something God is going to do, baby. This is something where these that have turned the world upside down are come hither also. This is something that God's getting ready to do because you have been an offense to him more than anybody, more than the people. You've been an offense to him, and you got to pay for how you've offended him. All right. So it's interesting that you took that mindset. And now with this guy in this video, who in the hell is Big Floyd?
Mindset. Remember, it's not mindset, it's a mind state.
Mind state.
Because you're coming out of the mindset. Mindset is training to be a good Negro. Mind state is creating a new world, a new reality.
Commit that to memory, y'all. I got to commit that to memory because we have not heard the terminology mind state as it's been so eloquently put on this show until this show. So it's in changing the mind state. We have to have a state of mind, not a set of mind. All right. So, this guy, he's he's making it, you know, when I look at it a couple of times, there's several ways you can look at it. One way is you ask yourself, is this a joke? Because when he goes on, he refers to George Floyd as Big Floyd, like he's making it common, like this is his boy from the hood or something. Who is Big Floyd? That's not, is that what they call George Floyd? I never heard them refer to him as that, but you know, he called him Big Floyd. So I was wondering who he was talking about. And then when he says they come into the communities and lower their head and make their dollar and just try to keep peace, that's some of them. All of them are not like that. Some of them come into the community and try to endear themselves to us. They calling us brother. They calling our men brother. Hey, brother. Hey, brother. But brothers struggle together. Brothers have a similar struggle. You have not had the same struggle. You may have had some of the same things happen to your people in spurts or whatever, but 400 constant years you have not had, and then to continue it on after the 400 years. Now we're into 200 and some years now of oppression. We are not brothers and sisters in that regard. All right. Then the other part of that is, it's another reason why we're not. And again, this is our opinion. This is how we are seeing things. That this is my observation in the hood stores that we have close to where I live. You know, I've witnessed, you know, you don't want your women to mess with our men. It is such a serious offense. You will kill them, your sisters and wives, aunts, or whatever, for messing with black men. But you will make whores out of our black women. I'm just going to say it like it is. You have them off to the side as, let's say concubines. I'll take the word whore back. Let's use concubine. Let's make it a little more digestible. So you take our women as concubines, and if not concubines, I see them working in your stores. Often you can tell that some of them are in a hard place in their life. They may have done some time, had to come out. They're part of a work release program or something. You've allowed them, you got yourself on the registry for the counties to send the people to work in your stores. They're working in your stores, and you got them carrying big, heavy boxes of liquor. You're talking to them any old kind of way and mistreating the women. So don't come on here. I mean, now he is who he is. I don't know who he is. However, there are some things, some presentations on something that he really shouldn't be speaking on. You coming on speaking on something and trying to put in the inflections in his voice, it tries to come across like he's got passion about the particular things he's speaking on. Well, you know, good for you. Good for you. Nice effort, but it doesn't cut the mustard. I don't really even know what you did it for, actually. In some regard, it's almost like a mockery, because you're saying that you came over here, this is what you did, and yeah, you did it without having to pay taxes like everybody else in business. You came over here tax-free. I mean, you're operating businesses tax-free for so many years. I think it's every 7 years, you tag out with another family member, you tag out, go back, they tag in, change the name of the business, and the business continues. All right.
You know, that is funny. You know, so we're looking at Koreans, Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese coming over. They were obviously the ones that were outcasts in their society. Then you have the Arab, the Lebanese, then you have the Sikhs, and then you have which is a religious sect style, and then you have Indians from India going into the hospital. So we're just sounding an alarm. This is our opinion on it, right? So you're sitting there and you're telling this story, right? And you're putting this inflection in your voice, and you know it's an advertisement, people. It's a community advertisement. Let me show you, in my opinion, let me show you how much I care, because I know the information and I can kick it. And then the people will come in, oh yeah, brother, you got it. You down, brother. You down. I'm gonna keep shopping with you and shopping with Mook. I'm gonna keep shopping with you all the way through because you got the vernacular and you know my struggle and we had our struggle. Listen, no matter, remember, they're running from their country maybe for religious persecution, or they were the bottom caste in their countries, right? Remember, they're running from their countries. We were stolen from our various countries. You know, some of us were here already who had traveled across the Bering Strait before someone else came across the Bering Strait later to emulate us. So some of us were here, others came, and we're here battling this. They did not have to deal with castration, tar and feathering, draw and quartering, lynching, being whooped with a whip, being tied down. They didn't have to deal with necessarily, some of them did, but you know, that's from their own country members. This is done to us by another group of people. They didn't have to worry about buck busting. They didn't have to worry about their women being taken against the will of the woman as well as the man. They didn't have to worry about that coming from that. So their experience of oppression is not the same. And even when they come here and they feel oppression from Caucasians, it is not the same. We are not the same. And why aren't we the same? Because we built this, and the original immigrants that came over, if they had money, they could buy property. What was property? Black bodies. As many black bodies that they were able to get is how many acreage of land they could get to plant tobacco, cotton, whatever the cash crop was that was going across, indigo, whatever the cash crop was going across the world that people needed, that made America the financial powerhouse that it is. And what we're saying is, it's time to pay up, and later for giving us loans so we can stay in debt, we need what the illegal immigrant gets as American citizens. And matter of fact, all American citizens should be getting what the illegal aliens get. They get a TIN number, they get subsidized housing in great neighborhoods, tax-free on their businesses, as Tonya mentioned. What else? Oh, they get jobs if they need it, and most importantly, they get free health care. No co-pays. It's free. Who's taking care of that? That's what Biden wants, right? So this is what we're looking at as this man is talking here. You know, I give him kudos that he can run down the information, but that doesn't mean that he is of any positive movement for American blacks. It's just not there. It's just not there. If you are positive, well, I'll get to that, but if you're positive, stand over your stuff. You know, hand over those businesses.
That's all I'm saying.
Here we go.
We complied with the status quo that keeps telling us that we're almost there, but just not quite them enough until we shed every last remnant of our heritage. Except, of course, for the ones that can be exploited for a diversity initiative or sold for profit.
Now, somewhere in between, now here's the rub. Here's the rub, people. Somewhere in between, he all of a sudden pushes and talks about they as Sikhs or Arabs or Korean, Vietnamese, et cetera, minor immigrant having to shed their cultural identity. I thought we were talking about American blacks, because our identity is an American citizen, the American citizen, right? The American, right? They have to shed, somehow they put this, he conflates the two issues together, oppression of American blacks and them having to lose their you came here, you ran from something, you did what you did, and you're talking about it, but you're not saying that you're sorry. You haven't apologized. And after you say you're sorry, then you have to do something to show that you're sorry. Like Bill Clinton, back, he said he was sorry for slavery, but he didn't automatically do something to say, hey, we're going to give you reparations like we did the natives. And let's continue.
And in the meantime, we got all our music, culture, fashion, sports heroes from a community of people without ever having to reckon with the fact that we have been complicit in the violence against their very existence all along. We kept our heads down, now the joke's on us. We abandoned our homelands and everything we knew to escape poverty, to escape violent conditions, to escape systemic oppression. And this whole time, we remained silent while we watched those very same things happen to a group of people who are just slightly different from ourselves.
Okay. Do you hear what this man is saying to you, right? He's telling you this, and it sounds good, right? It sounds really, really good. Now remember, I've said immigrants and then immigrants after 1965, right? So now let's look at this, right? This right here, people, is a photograph of a Cherokee American girl, right? Now, we personally have Blackfoot Indian, right? Blackfoot Indian in our situation, right? And I remember before we were moving out here, I was in the store in Cleveland, and the guy came in and he said, you look like some of the freedmen in North Dakota. I said, yeah. He said, yeah, you look just like them. So I looked up the freedmen of North Dakota, and when I looked at the black and white photos, this is a group of Indians, right? When I looked at them, and not the Indians, when we have to stop thinking about the Indians that we see in the movies, and the Indians, like the white man that was standing up there and was shedding the tear, talking about the forest being destroyed. That was a white man. He was Polish, by the way. And they put on the kind of reddish makeup and had him don the feathers and everything. Kind of like the people did who assumed an identity of a group of people that were already here. Okay?
How about that?
So I looked at the pictures and I said, that guy looks like my father. This guy looks like me. I'm like, yo. So, but this is Cherokee. So I'm just giving you an example, right? When people are talking about that, hey, you're wrong on the part about there being any Native American in there, and then the Native Americans owned slaves. But we're talking about the original people that were here, that then the Native Americans who helped in the Civil War that took over identity, right? And helped to chase down certain tribes that were trying to get to Canada. Now, Cherokee American girl. Real Aboriginal Cherokee American girl. The entire Cherokee Indian population of Carroll County, Georgia, was listed as quote-unquote colored persons in 1830. You can research this. Colored persons in 1830. which means that you take away a whole group of people's identity and you mix them because you know you've done it before because there were people here. Then 388,000 Africans made it to the shores, right, out of the 10.7 million that went across the globe through the transatlantic slave trade. And so you're sitting here and you're looking at this, and so you did it again, and you incorporated people who were slaves, people who were native people that were already here, and you called them colored. Were we or were we not called colored? Yes, we were. A whole group of people called colored. And so this guy sitting here and telling us this, right? It sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds great. It sounds lovely. And then he says, not much different than us. What we have to remember is black as a phenotype, or whatever you want to call it, as a phenotype, the first people on the planet Earth were black people set in Ethiopia, and it opened up and then it spread across. The first people who brought civilization to Italy, to Sicily, and to Europe were black people. Hannibal came in and turned Sicily from blonde hair, blue eye in a decade to olive complected and brown eyes. Right? The Moors taught civilization to the Europeans, taught them how to stand upright, shave down, and do all this. Hygiene, wash yourself. If you don't believe, people who come over from Europe say that Americans in particular wash a little too much. We wash too much, right? That's what they say. Europeans say that, right? That we wash too much, especially the ones that come from France. You can research this and see that what I'm saying is indeed fact, right? And who more than American blacks keep themselves clean, keep themselves so fresh and so clean? What do you have to say to that before we continue with the Seek?
It's really funny. This is some very enlightening information that you're sharing. And as I look at the picture of that girl, if you hadn't have told me that she was, well, it says right there she's Cherokee, but if I hadn't have seen that, just to see a picture without that caption down there, she looks black. So, well, at least, well, let me qualify this, because at least in our family, you will see black people that's got that kind of hair and stuff like that. Of course, you know, we have some mixture in there, but for all intents and purposes, she looks black to me. She looks black to me. So if you hadn't, if that caption hadn't have been there, I would have seen her as a little black girl, not a little Cherokee girl. But it is funny that we have some Blackfoot Indian in our family. And it's very important, guys, that as you get this information, you take it and you can split it different ways to have different points and focuses of research to expand your mind. And as you expand your mind, you'll understand why things are like they are, why the efforts to keep you oppressed while you are helping run the machine, keep you oppressed, why it's like that when you find your heritage, where you find where you actually come from, what's in your bloodline, what you're due besides the obvious that we know they haven't provided us with. And they're not really providing, they're giving what they're owing us something. They owe us something. So, you know, for us to mention it, see, that's what they want. They want us to stop talking about. I mean, for God's sakes, can't you just move on already? Can't you just move on? You won't cut this loose, by gum, by God, you won't cut this loose at all, and you just can't let it go. You guys, you should be happy. You have all kinds of opportunities. Oh, you should be happy. I mean, look at your basketball players, my God. Look at, you even got a Tiger Woods on the golf course. You have the Williams sisters in tennis. You guys should be happy. And you know, I'm animated. I'm very animated. My brother and I are animated, but we are like that because we know that this is what's going on in the minds. Now, I want to go back and say this is our opinion. We have to keep saying it. This is our opinion. We add some humor on it, but the passion that's behind the humor is legitimate. Okay, we want you to understand that. And for those of you who will be on looking and being just a tad bit offended, you got your drawers up your behind because you don't like how we put different things, okay? Let us look at things with a mature, you want us to say, you want our minds to be open and accepting and understanding, and you want us to have diversity of thought concerning you guys. Well, you must do the same thing. I mean, I'm not asking you. It's up to you what you do. However, the way we put things, we're addressing facts in history, historical fact. All right. You can't be angry with anyone but your ancestors or whatever. You can't get mad at us for having an observation. This is the name of the show. You can't get mad at us for having observations and then highlighting those observations for our listening and viewing audience. All right? And I hand it back to you.
But even if they are upset, let them be upset. You know, we can tell. We can tell that they're upset. I can tell. But anyway, look, people, look. You know, just for food for thought. You know, I used to cut Dad's hair before he went bald. Tonya, before he decided he didn't go bald, he decided to go bald, to shave bald. You know, it was more easier for him, and his hair was a nice wave, nice wavy pattern. And I was like, why did you not? You know, because I used to grow up and part the hair and use a little Vaseline and let the waves run through. I said, how come you did? But then I remember looking at the scrapbook, at the photo album, that my father did wear his style like that, back when he was younger. But as he got older, I would cut it into a style for him, the latest style for him. But then after a while, he just said he let it go, right? So that's to go say that it's there. But this is not to glorify or just care about, because that's a problem. That's a problem in the American black community. I just my opinion, that people put value in the wavy hair, which is cool to have it. As I've always had it. Like when we came out here to Vegas, just going around just shooting different things, Vegas locked my hair, and I went with it. Right? I went with it because I'm not self-hating, because I had the best of both worlds, because it didn't lock. It locked the back, and because I used to wear hats, but it didn't lock the top. So I have a wavy style that I wear, which is my natural hair, and this is locked by the sun out here in Vegas, and it's my natural hair too. So I have best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. But anyway, so that just goes to show you that, and wearing this style, and as the locks began to grow and naturally do their own tree branches, like I didn't start with twists. It naturally does its own tree branching, and it's like branches in a tree. As I see it grow and I tie it up to get it out my face or on my neck, I start to see where the emulation that the Bering Strait Mongoloids that came across and took over the identity of black people that were already here, who were the natives that were already here. I could see how they emulated and why they emulated and how they emulated, because all they had was that stringing. And so they had to use feathers to emulate. So let's go on. Let's finish up with this guy right here.
We no longer have time to keep our heads down. Not now, not ever again. Listen to and learn from Black voices. Donate your time and your money to Black-led organizations and Black causes. Learn and vote in your federal and local elections. And hey, Bollywood, we don't want to hear any of this Black Lives Matter stuff from you unless you're also dealing with the casteism, colorism, sexism, Hindu supremacy, and support of state-sanctioned violence that's running around freely in your own industry right now.
So now, what we have been talking about for a few days, like, we didn't see this video before we started the show, did we? We didn't see this video before we started the show.
No, and then please clarify for me, what is this guy? I mean, is he touting himself to be an Indian or Arab
Sikh,
or what? Because
Sikh, he said Hindu, and then there's Sikh, right? From what I can understand, right? People can call in and correct if they like, 213-943-3358, but there are Hindus, there are Sikhs, and there is the caste system where the darker skinned Indians are considered the untouchables, right? So he's already run through and talked about how they ran from this and ran from that. And he talks about Bollywood and he admits to the caste system. So we did not, Tonya sent this video to me a couple of days ago and I watched it. And everything that we have been talking about on TFR, hashtag TFRPodcastLive, starting with 124 and moving forward and talking about how the Indians are in the hospitals now and how the service is not as good. And now when we're talking about it on hashtag TFRPodcastLive OB, how we can go back and reference starting in 07 for us what we had to deal with, right? You're looking at this and he admits that there's a caste system. So how are you going to let a group of people come over? Not only, okay, so they get naturalized citizens, they stay here, some of them overstay, but you don't deport them, but they stay here, or they get naturalized citizenships. How are you going to allow them to be over the people who built this country? That's one. Then you're going to let in illegals who don't have to naturalize citizen, don't have to be a naturalized citizen, and you're going to give them free everything and give the people who built this, who deserve to have things, compensation. Not even looking for free, looking for compensation for what was done. You won't even do that, but you'll give these people everything. Let them move into the neighborhoods. Let them kill up the people. But let me stop. We, see, this is where you come from out of mindset and go into mind state. We allowed it. We allowed it. We didn't fight tooth and nail and say, you're not going to be here. You're going to have to go over there and be with them. Open up your stores over there where they'll call you Ali Bibi. Go over there. We have no camaraderie with you. You may have melanin like we do, but we have no camaraderie with you. We should have fought tooth and nail, but we didn't. And I remember my mother telling me that it started with when they had the Puerto Rican immigrants come in. And she said in Cleveland, this was Cleveland now. Remember one of the family friends who tried to look like the family members, remember?
Yeah, I remember. I know exactly.
Right, I'm not going to say her name.
Yeah.
She's passed on now.
Right.
But it said that these Puerto Ricans would come in and they'd be cutting up the black women, right? They'd be cutting them up. In her case, she was being abused by a Puerto Rican, right? So, so looking at the immigrants coming in into the 50s and coming into after 1965 and what was happening during that time and how every time we let people come in and say, oh, we can relate to you, we're going to open up businesses, we're going to take the businesses, the black businesses away. We let that happen. They did nothing because they didn't have them in their neighborhoods. And we shouldn't have looked at the melanin in their skin and said that they are just like us when they're not.
Black Lives Matter.
Oh, look, he said Black Lives Matter. How about that, right? Which gets us to our main topic of the day, which has to do with Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Now, what does this meme say? Let's read this meme. Let me bring it up larger so I can see it. So this meme comes from Stony Simpkins. What's up to Stony Simpkins? You know what I'm saying? We appreciate your voice out here as you voice your opinion. I am indifferent about Trump, but I don't know. I think that's a typo. I abhor Joe Biden, old devilish, pedophile, beguiling, conniving ass.
Well, that's descriptive.
I think Stony Simpkins. See, Stony Simpkins is from Cleveland. He's in Cleveland, I believe. I believe that's one of my Cleveland friends, right? On the Facebook, right? And so he's from Cleveland, and that's how Cleveland talks. If you want to know, I'm indifferent about Trump, but I abhor. See, we break out those 2-syllable words that people be like, what does abhor mean? Just can't stand abhor. I just can't stand Joe Biden, old devilish, beguiling, conniving ass. Conniving. We use that word constantly in Cleveland. Conniving. Mm-hmm. That's a Cleveland thing. You want to know? That's the way we put words together. We put words together just like that. I'm indifferent about Trump, but I abhor Joe Biden, old devilish, beguiling, conniving ass.
That's how we put it together.
Just let that sit. Just let that sit for a minute. Let that sit for a minute. And I got to read it one more time because it's just so good before I get to the main part about the Washington Times. I said the Post. I got to change the Washington Times did it. But anyway, I am indifferent about Trump, but I abhor Joe Biden, old devilish, beguiling, conniving ass. Okay, so the WashingtonTimes.com reports Trump's approval rating with, I say, American black voters soars by 60% during the RNC poll says. Now, if you listen to channels like MSNBC, networks like MSNBC and CNN, they will tell you that the viewership of the RNC was down and it was below the Democrats. I don't believe that. I don't believe that malarkey. Look, I'm using one of Joe Biden's words. Malarkey. I don't believe one bit of that malarkey at all. That's not true. That's not so, right? So before we get to talking about the Trump article, right? It's really going down in Las Vegas. So I picked this meme up, right? And it's really going down in Las Vegas right now with the people's opinions on what's going on. So this person writes, sometimes racism looks like a white person justifying why a black person needed to be killed. Now, this person is of a certain age, right? And salute to his service in the branch of military that he served in. But he's of a certain age, right? And he says this, and you just now discovering and figuring out that they have to justify because once we were no longer property and they could not get it for free. They wanted to find a way to get rid of us. So it's always a justification. So, but that is not the groundbreaking part of this. So it's what happens underneath in one of the comments, right? And then the response, right? So this person named, I'm just going to abbreviate it. I'm not going to say her name at all. You can see it. And I was hearing why more might need to be killed. Let that sit for a minute. Let that sit. I'm telling you, it's going down. Now remember, Nevada is known as the Mississippi of the West. Okay? It was annexed. Go research that. You'll find out. I don't have time to go over the history with you, but matter of fact, you should know all of the states. But anyway, look. So this person who posted this meme says, sometimes racism looks like a white person justifying why a black person needed to be killed. The person in one of the comments that is on top, because there's a lot of comments to this post, but the person says, and I was hearing why more might need to be killed. When it comes down, when it comes down to what is happening, people, you have to take your blindfold off your eye. You have to take the blinders off and realize what's going on. And I was hearing why more might need to be killed. Then the person underneath says, with an explanation point at the end, a war is coming. However, it's not the war, and the people that are on it, we already talked about that yesterday. Go back and listen to the other one that they tried to block. Go listen to that one yesterday, because we told you the people who are going to be on the chessboard that is not who they think is going to be on a chessboard, right? So, now back to Trump, right? Back to Donald J. Trump, number 45, right? Even, we played the tape yesterday, and Bill Maher is alarmed because he's feeling the same thing. Michael Moore, Mr. Michigan himself, filmmaker, champion for Flint, showed you where Obama took a little sip of the water and said the water is fine. Protecting a Republican governor, right? He didn't even sip. He went, that's good. The people, if you watch 9/11 Fahrenheit, no, 11/9 Fahrenheit, you will see where Obama came and the black people in Flint thought, oh, here comes our black president. We talk about this in one of our TFR Podcast Live episodes about maybe a year and a half ago. But they said, here comes our black president. He's going to say something. He gets up there and says, I'm thirsty. I need some water. They bring him a glass of water that's supposed to be from Flint. He kind of like not even wets his lips and says, the water here is fine. They said, we were done with Obama then because he came and he sold us out. And it was just about politics and not about the people, right? So, back to Donald Trump. Risen by 60%, his approval rating to blacks. Now you have the blacks that are in the Democrats calling everybody coons. If you, it was a minstrel show. This one lady said they got up there. None of the people who got up there were tap dancing or dancing. They didn't have on blackface. They just talked about and gave you facts about what Donald Trump had done for them, what Donald Trump had done for the historical black colleges and universities, what he did as far as reversing what Biden had done, what he's done for individuals, how he has communed or pardoned people, pardoned their sentences or communed their sentences so they could be released. This is what they said. So it's not about what people say, it's about the actions, and we keep on saying it's about policies, because Biden wiped out the black community with the 100-to-1 cocaine, crack cocaine to cocaine, and he wiped out the community with the 3 strikes, one under a Republican president, one under a Democrat president, and Trump is correcting that. So you have to ask yourself, after you do the research, what has the man actually done? Now, like I said, we would have to have a mass exodus like it was during the days of Truman, when W.E.B. Du Bois urged black people to move from the Republican Party over to the Democrat Party. And then when Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act after Kennedy was assassinated, after it was pushed and Martin Luther King was able to push it, he passes through. We have been solid Democrat ever since then, but the Democrats have done nothing to do anything to advance the plight of the inner city. Matter of fact, they have fled the inner city to do urban sprawl in the suburbs, while leaving you and taking the money and leaving. Those are Democrats and Republicans doing that to the inner city. And when they come back to the inner city, they re-gentrify, and you're out on your keister. Look, that's another term. Out on your keister, right? Out on your keister, right? So look, 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. Someone said something. Let me read their comment. Blacks all agree Trump would make a fine something. I can't read it because it's not giving me the full message on what the person said. But it says name 45 lies, and they say blacks all agree Trump will make a fine something, but I'm not seeing it coming up on my boards anywhere to read it out more. But anyway, so this is what's happening as we're sitting here and we're looking at the situation. So 60% rise in approval rating since that, and the Democrats have given nothing, but they are surely going to give everything to the immigrant that American blacks should have, just as reparations, just as a step in reparations. What do you have to say about that?
I was jotting down a couple of notes while you were talking. You know, what's funny is that you will have you ever seen those people like the whole time? I don't know if you've ever been sitting in a room while you're listening to the news or one of Trump's speeches, and you're sitting in a room, and when you look around at the faces of black people, they're already their faces are already set to start going into a certain form the minute the man starts talking. They automatically looking like, there's a slight delay. So they're looking like that. And then the whole time, there's the stank look on their face, everything he's saying, not listening to content. And then when you get into an after conversation, and I don't want anybody to, I care about the thoughts and opinions to the extent of you realizing that we're not trying to belittle your opinion and how you feel about things. However, I want you to I want you to switch your eyeglasses. Like Fred Sanford had the drawer with all the glasses. He had to put on the right glasses so he could see straight. I want you to be able to switch your eyeglass prescription so that you can see what I'm saying. So we have all these strong passions about somebody that we don't like. We have all these strong passions about points that have no content. Because when you go to ask these people who are anti-Trump, when you go to ask them, well, what exactly don't you like about him? Well, he's a racist. Okay. So what points, what is it that makes you call him a racist? So you just start asking things. You're not being antagonistic. I might be asking you that because I've never seen anything that indicated that to me. I just never seen it. So I might be asking you, what is it that make you call him a racist? And then you can't tell me. If you're going to be passionate about whether you support him or don't support him, you need to have content to back up your points. You need to have content that backs up your statements. Because if I'm a person that just don't know, because maybe I'm not following it, I'm not following the politics, so I'm asking you, because maybe I respect your opinion and your view on things, and I'm asking you, why do you feel that he's a racist? Why do you feel this? And you got to give me some content. It's a problem when there's no content in your statement. What's the problem? That means you have done no research. You have gotten in line and you've jumped on board with what you've been told in the media. You've jumped on board with what other people are saying, but you yourself have not gone and done your personal research. And that's a problem. In this season, you can't sit around and idly and lazily sit by and just go with what seems right. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death, or the ways of non-productivity, or the ways of being blind. And Dee mentioned earlier that we're going to have to take the blinders off your eye. That's that eye that sees into the realm of the spirit, into places beyond what you're being told, into places beyond what you can see with your natural eye. You're going to have to be able to see and put things together so that you are able to ascertain what the bottom line is. And I see D laughing about something, so he's probably read something. I'm going to give it back to him.
All right. So we got 45 lies. But to 45 lies, YouTube sometimes censors messages. So I didn't get your first full one. Blacks all agree Trump would make a fine something. I'm looking at it on my detail on my program, but when I go over to the YouTube, they censored that message, so I don't know what that is. They also censored the message, creepy porn President Trump, but I'm seeing it over here, but it's not on the chat side, which means that they are censoring, and we do not believe in censorship, right? 45 Lies. First of all, 45 Lies doesn't have an avatar. He or she has a blank avatar, a person with a turquoise background behind him, one of the pre-generated ones. So there's a problem there because, stating your fact, you got to have an avatar that shows who you are, right? So they say, keep lying, Trump. So when you were talking about facts, Stephen Miller, for one example, look up Stephen Miller. Let's see what they're talking about Stephen Miller. And then they said something about, no, it means you're not paying attention. That's what they said. That's what they were saying to your comment about that. No, it means, and they yelled, you're not paying attention. Tension. You know, there's going to be a marriage come November 3rd, people. Did you know that there was going to be a marriage come November 3rd? One of the memes that I saw that was pretty interesting is your ex is getting married and you are the DJ. What you plan first? Your ex is getting married and you are the DJ. What you plan first? What would you be playing first there, Tonya? What would you be playing?
Let's see. I have to think about that. I read that earlier. I have to think about that. I have to think about that. For me, if I'm the DJ, then obviously we still have some kind of friendly interaction. So I got it. Well, maybe not this one, but this is a possibility. Vesta Williams had a song back in the day called Congratulations.
Wait a minute, you taking mine. Now, wait a minute. Now, that's what I was going to say. Congratulations. It should have been me. Right? Look, so before we go on, we don't believe in censorship. 45 Lies said, Trump's fourth marriage? Question mark? He's trying to be funny. Trump's fourth marriage? No, there's going to be a marriage November 3rd, right? Are you ready? Are you ready, people? Are you ready, American black people? And you are going to vote for this marriage. Because if Biden wins, Biden is going to be marrying. Are you ready? He's going to marry the illegal immigrants. That's right, illegal aliens. He's going to be marrying them, and he's going to make sure that they have a TIN number. He's going to make sure that they have subsidized housing in the suburbs. He's going to make sure that they have jobs, guaranteed. They're going to make sure they have free health care, no copays, free health care, and hoping that they will vote Democrats. So yes, there will be a marriage, right? And right, you're right. 45 Lies is getting into it now. Jerry Falwell Jr. is going to officiate. Oh, you must not know what happened to Jerry Falwell, right?
Yeah, I know. He took a fall recently. I know.
But he took a fall. He took a fall with the pool boy, allegedly, along with his wife.
Yeah. And this is the kind of foolishness that's going on. But that was pretty funny. 45 Lies. Is it 45 Lives or 45 Lies? What does his name say?
45 Lies, like he's a liar. 45 Lies. That's what his page on I'm giving you some shine a little bit. 45 Lies on YouTube. That's what it's for. But he said Jerry Falwell Jr. is gonna officiate. You're right, because they're all one and the same party, right? So, oh yeah, he also says,
I can't hear you.
He also says that Israel is socialist. That's another thing. Trump does keep what he says he's going to do. He does keep his word. So he said he was going to move the Israel is, I forget what it's called because I don't stay up with them, because actually I believe, well, I won't say that because Nick Cannon got in trouble on that, but so we won't say that. But he moved.
Oh, but it's the key to everything, though.
What's that?
What you're not saying right now is really the problem with American Black, as far as why things are held the way they are. What you're not saying is the key to everything. That's why the trouble came when it was mentioned by that other party you just named. What you're not saying is the main crux of the part of the problem. But these that are turned the world upside down are come hither also. That's Acts 17:6. These that have turned the world upside down are come hither also. Waking up.
Right. And so really glad that they got theirs, but we shouldn't even worry about it. We're worried about getting ours and stay out of the way of us getting ours. And that's what it is. So there's a marriage coming up, people, November 3rd. And you're going to be sitting on the sidelines looking at, it used to be me. Remember when Martin Luther King, they not arrested. Jesse, keep hope alive. What? Barack Obama. I want to say this, my opinion. Barack Obama is the main cause of, one of the causes of our problems today. Because we took that hook, line, and sinker, and when he came around, not coming from the lineage that we came from, all of a sudden it's not good to be bombastic and loud. You had to be genteel to get your point across, but nothing was done. Trump yells at you, yells at the people, and he gets everything done, right? Now, 213-943-3358. I wish that 45 Lives would just call up, because, I mean, that's good that you're writing, but we can get down so much faster through the spoken word than the written word in this case. You know, like I'll be texting someone, and, you know, I text pretty fast with my two thumbs. But I say, wait a minute, man, let me get my point across. Sometimes the words spell correct, and they're saying something else that you didn't mean to say. And so I get on the phone, and I say, let's talk it out. So 213-943-3358. We got 29 minutes left in the show. So let's look at this. This was the Brandy versus Monica versus competition that came on the other night. Excellent, you know, like for me, they really didn't sing until the end. They sat there and played their song. So I was disappointed in that, because still the best one is Bounty Killer and Beanie Man. They set the pace of the two people standing together. Previous to that, it was top screen, bottom screen, them in separate places. Teddy Riley, to his credit, with Babyface, tried to do something where he had his instrumentation, had his keyboards, and was going to make it big, but it didn't jump off because they were cutting feed. Instagram cuts feed if it's copywritten material, right? Since then, they've gotten over that because they're an established platform now. But Beanie Man and Bounty Killer set the pace. They got up there, they performed. This was in the heat, in the height of COVID-19. They were in Jamaica. They even confronted the police, who stood off screen while they talking. You're really going to break this up? You're really going to tell the 500,000 to 1 million people that are watching that you're going to cut this up? That was Beanie Man standing up, just like what he says in his lyrics, right? So they really set the pace. So Brandy and Monica sitting and just listening and telling stories, to me, but we're going to talk about that on Sunday. But the main point about this, in the very beginning of the show, your favorite immigrant having parent running for vice president, claiming to be African American, and I learned from talking to a buddy that's in Cleveland last evening that they state in the news media that Asian and African American and Asian, because Indians from India are Asians, but you left the Jamaican out. I guess that goes in America. But anyway, look. She comes on and she's talking and she's got on her Howard shirt because, you know, she graduated from Howard University. This is a pander, and it says, how to get the black vote. This is pandering. She's wearing her Howard shirt. She's doing that stupid laugh. And your voices have been so strong, and what you have done with your voices is so important. Brandy was smiling. She could have been masking. Monica was not smiling. And I'm sure that Monica wanted to say, oh, which one of my songs did you like the best? Because the last time you were graduating in the 80s, you were listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac, and they hadn't even come of age.
That was
yet.
90s.
I know. But she said on the Breakfast Club that when she smoked weed in college, she was listening to Tupac and Snoop. And they hadn't even come of age yet. So the question would be, well, what songs did you like the best? Name your top 5. You're on here with us. What's your top 5 Brandy and Monica songs, since you're on here with us? We know that we're raising money for the vote campaign that Versus was sponsoring, but who did you like the most and why did you say that? Okay, look. 45 Lies is going off. Trump won't talk about Israel's socialism. Trump suffers from ODS, Obama derangement syndrome. I think that 45 Lies, I think that is actually the other way around. I'm sorry to say. The word you're grasping for was embassy. Thank you, 45 Lies, but we weren't on that topic. And he moved the embassy, though. And he kept his word. And he made the peace deal with the Arab Emirates, which Israel is one side of that landmass that's right above Africa. And then the other, Middle East, we're going to call it Middle East. And then the Arab Emirates is on the other side with all the different Arab countries in between. And they have to follow what the Arab Emirates say, that they're cool with Israel now. I don't know. Peace in the region? Oh, I don't know.
Actually, that is coming from another place that he did that. That's actually coming out of a biblical type wisdom, that he did that, no matter how kind of misdirected it is concerning who is called Israel and who really is Israel. Despite that, it was well intended and had a biblical origin. So there was a reason for that. But I wanted to say something about
Wait. 45 Lies has a question, right? And we're gonna pose this question. This is a great question, 45 Lies. Because I don't know if people necessarily believe in Babylon and that America is Babylon. I'm going to preface with this, but maybe we should flip the map right side up from it being upside down, and then maybe we might see what's in the West and what the great Satan really is. But here's his question, or her question. So, is it America first or Israel first for God above all nations. Ooh.
Is it Israel?
Wait. Let me read it again. This is. We might have to do a show about this exclusively.
Yeah.
So is it America first or Israel first for God above all nations? So which nation is heralded or put above all other nations by God, in other words?
Whatever nation God is above is a nation that chooses him. Every nation is not choosing God above. There are many gods, but whoever's the nation, I know what the question is, and I know what the desired destination is for the question, but I'm going to give you what it is. Whatever nation God is over is the nation that chooses him.
Wait.
I can't hear you.
He said Acts 10:69. He's being funny. Acts 10:69. Trump F's porn stars. Anyway.
Okay. See now, here we go. I've been being good, but if we're going to have agendas, have an end goal to your agenda. When you call in because we welcome everybody's opinion, we welcome you to come on. This is not a thing where we're not bashing anybody. We're not going to allow anybody to bash us, but we welcome you. We welcome everybody to come on and say what it is they feel, and we have dialogue about it. But this individual is kind of all over the place and trying to draw out something. And so that's an exercise in futility on this broadcast in particular. So if you have some kind of agenda, have a legitimate goal that is needful, number one, and productive, number two, for your reasoning. And we can get a lot more done that way. What you're doing at this time is no different than what's going on in this country by and large right now. So in order to be productive, let's not just throw things out there and be coy and be catty. Let's kind of keep it in a place where we can get something done in our dialogue or generate or inspire other dialogue. Okay.
Okay. So he's responding. He says, "What God, in parentheses, a title, has America chosen?" That's one. Okay, so don't talk about what Trump does. Don't talk about what Trump does, question mark, that's another question. And then the last question, my agenda, show the truth. Translation, just pour syrup on Trump, right? So as we go through here, as we come, this meme right here is pretty good for this. So let's read this meme right here. It's talking about tongue and what you speak and bring forth with your tongue. People that talk about voodoo and roots, but don't know they put roots on themselves every time they speak negatively about themselves. And I would even venture even further to say that when you speak ill of someone else, you put that illness on you. When you're digging a grave for someone, a 6 foot deep grave for someone, make sure you dig the grave next to them for yourself, because as you're talking or as you're doing, this ultimately is what is happening when you speak negativity and not solutions. What I would like to know from 45 Lies, who said one nation under God, but which God? Christian God, Jehovah, Yahweh, or Muslim God Allah, right? I would say, what's your solution? Because we come and we talk about it, but we bring solutions. So what's your solution? Like, the talking head thing is fine, but what's your solution? So, there was a few different questions there, Tonya, so I'm going to let you address that. This is getting good, but we need solutions.
Concerning the meme that you just said and what you said after that about you went as far as to say when you speak negatively of others, you bring that back on yourself. The scripture for that is Proverbs 18:21 and to 45 lives. Yes, I do use scripture. I'm glad you took notice of that. Proverbs 18:21 is death and life. It mentions death first because most of the time negative is what people speak first. So death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. So whatever it is you speak, whether that be death or life, whatever you apply death to or life to, you will eat the fruit thereof, meaning it will come back to you. So that validates what D has said. And so people talk about voodoo and roots, but don't know they put roots on themselves every time they speak negatively about themselves. What is not, you'll see me reference or hear me reference this quite a bit on every broadcast, where we have to be very mindful of the words we speak, because out of the abundance of one's heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever is going on, you say, well, you don't know what my heart is. God, people say, God know my heart. Well, the scripture says the heart is exceedingly wicked, and who can know it? How a person knows what's in your heart is by what comes out of your mouth. So if what comes out of your mouth all the time is death, then you're a person I will probably disconnect myself from. Though you can have whatever opinion you want, and I will give you the latitude to have your opinion. But as far as me being in the company of an opinion that has death laced with it, I don't do it. Right? I surround myself not with yes people, but with people who speak life over things, not death over things. So this person, whoever did this meme, is very right. They're very correct. The same people, absolutely, that speak about voodoo and roots are the same ones. A lot of religious people speak death over themselves all the time, in the fact that they are not representing the faith that they say they believe in. This is several different religions, not just one.
Come in. Yeah. Wow. So look, people, another meme of the day. And it's funny. I put these memes up, and so it's something going on, because we didn't know that 45 Lives would be writing, but it's just something that is just natural, right? So let me just read this. It's something supernatural, I would say. All my life, all I've heard is only love can conquer hate. Yet all of my life, all I've seen is hate kicking love's. Love needs to learn how to fight. All my life, all I've learned is only love can conquer hate. Yet my life, all I've seen is hate kicking love's butt. Love needs to learn how to fight.
I have an answer for that. First of all, in the context of love, we have to understand what love means as opposed to hate in the original words and how they were written. So are you speaking love and hate in a secular context? Or are you speaking love and hate in a religious context? Or are they a blend of the two? Or whatever it is? Hate and love. Okay, love actually is truth. And truth is not always pleasant. Truth is not always pleasant, and love does fight. Love fights for truth, right? And truth is not always pleasant. Nevertheless, it has to be brought forth. So it depends on what circles you're traveling in. It depends on what you're looking at. It depends on what you're listening to. It depends on what you lend yourself to, as opposed to what love is and what hate is. In my world, hate is not kicking love's ass. I know what you said. In my world, hate is not kicking love's behind. It's not in my world. And I've come through several different things in my over 50 years. So hate is not kicking love's behind in my world. You just got to know what love really is. Love is truth. And sometimes truth comes across as being kind of forceful sometimes. And sometimes truth comes across as being hateful to those who don't want to accept truth, right? So it depends on what you're categorizing as hate and what you're categorizing as love. Most of mankind's definition of love is not what love is. It's not what it is. So it depends on how you've categorized the two.
All right, people. So let's go on to this meme right here. This one is just as interesting as the last as we go through. And this is, like I said, none of these memes were prearranged. It was just things that I found that was interesting, but there's a connection happening, right? People can only meet you as deeply as they have met themselves. People can only meet you as deeply as they have met themselves.
Experience with knowing who God is. Once you have that unique experience, a lot of things become common between you and other people. It is only when there is a difference or a difference in your understanding of who God is in relation to yourself that you have so much, you're so much at odds with other people.
So that first part, people can only meet you as deeply as they have met themselves. That's a reference to God. Is that what you're saying?
That would be my interpretation of reading that, because I understand at the end of the day, that's what it winds up being. But I might be in some place that someone else is not at. So when I look at that statement, it's as deep as it is, because I understand if you don't know God, you're not going to know you, and you're going to have a very difficult time knowing other people as well.
Yeah. Should go through these memes. Let's go right here. All right, people. This one was a great one too, I thought. Be careful. Satan uses a little truth to tell a lie. And so this is what we've been talking about as far as this election is concerned. Who you gonna vote for? You gonna vote for Satan, or you gonna vote for the devil? The devil is Satan or Shaitan. Devil or Satan. Who are you gonna vote for? Satan or Satan? Let's just cut. Let's take the devil and Shaitan out of it. Let's say, who are you gonna vote for? Satan or Satan? Who are you going to vote for? Be careful. Satan uses a little truth to tell a lie. Uses a little truth to tell a lie. Oh, yes. I wrote up and pushed through the 100 to 1 and the 3 strikes, but it didn't cause mass incarceration. Be careful. Satan uses a little truth to tell a lie. Who are you going to vote for? Satan or Satan? Trump. the exonerated 5 did what they did, and they needed to be in prison. And I will not go on back on that because I haven't seen any information that is contrary to my belief. Who are you going to vote for? Satan or Satan? Because be careful. Satan uses a little truth to tell a lie.
Yep, and that's actually called deception. And it's funny that, Patrice, I was reflecting back on Patrice's statement yesterday. That was funny to me. Who you going to vote for, Satan or the devil? But they're the same person. And so that was funny. That stayed on my mind. But that deception, like you just denoted about the 3 strikes and, the 101 or 100 to 1. The thing about deception is it's been an art form that's been used in multiple arenas for years and years and years. How else can you be? It's funny. I almost thought of something else. How else can you capture a boogie? But how else can you get a person from the back? I couldn't hear you, but I see your mouth moving.
If you don't attack from the back. Wait a minute.
From the back.
From the rear march. My name is the one. Some people call me the funk. You have to take a break for Parliament Funkadelic. Okay, continue on.
Yeah, I want to say the whole thing. It says, but how else can you capture a boogie if you don't attack from the back to the rear march? So that's a sidebar. Those of y'all who came along through the 70s and 80s, y'all know what that is. We 70s and 80s kids, all right, as far as the music, and 90s. But anyway, yeah, that too. How else can you capture a boogie? Let's say the boogie is your heart or your affections toward a particular thing, your belief or your mind state turning into grooming you to a mind, your mindset grooming you to a mind state. How else do you capture that if you don't bring deception, if you're not forthright? If you're not a forthright type individual, your campaign is not forthright, you haven't done anything that supports any of the lies that you tell, and it's not forthright, how else are you going to capture the boogie of the people if you don't attack from the back, if you don't use deception, right? And so to the rear march, you going forth in that deception. And you saying in your deception, you saying your name is the one. Some people call you whatever. You have come with a deception. You gave yourself a name and you said, this is what makes me my name. That was pretty good. This is what makes me my name, right? How else? How else? So when we're thinking about, I'm with everything D said the last couple of days when he said we should just sit this one out. Not because there's not a greater candidate. There is a greater candidate. And I don't bat my, let me look in the camera because I'll be watching him on the broadcast, so my eyes are shifted down, but I want to look dead in. I make no qualms about the fact that in the beginning, I did not favor President Trump. I can admittedly say that I kind of went with the crowd too. You hear things over and over and over again amongst the people you're around. You see things on the news and you hear things on the news because this is the way. How else can they capture the boogie? So this is the way that they're steering it. They're steering it in a certain direction. So this is all you're hearing. And so, when I thought about it one day, I sat and I started reflecting. See, I have to pull away from everything that's influential from the outside. I have to go within. I have to ask myself questions. And this is what I suggest you do. Why don't you like him? Because you really don't know much about him. Why don't you like him? Oh, you don't like the fact that he says things certain ways? Well, how do you talk? You pretty straightforward, right? You pretty much are going to say what's on your mind. You pretty much going to tell it like it is, regardless. So why don't you like that? That's kind of that's a bit hypocritical, isn't it? You don't like that? That's why you don't like them. What else? And so these are the questions I pose to people now. Okay, so why don't you like him again? Well, he's this and he's that. Okay, cite me some instances that you researched to prove that he's this or that. The Bible says, and yes, I said the Bible, it is a fool that answers a matter without knowing all the facts. It is a fool to answer a matter without knowing all the facts. So if this is what you deem to be reasonable for not liking him, have you gone to research the reasoning behind the decision, behind the push? Once you have ascertained that, then you're able to make a quality decision to say, okay, is this person for the people or not for the people? Is he or is he ain't? All right. So once you come to that, that is how you come to a quality decision. This is how you draw a conclusion. You have to have facts to draw conclusions. You have to have valid facts that you're not going to get from the news, the regular news, right? So from that perspective, this is what I'm saying. I started out not liking him with points that had no content. Now I have points that have content as to why I do like him. All right. So this is what I'm telling you. However, in the interest of our people, if we're not going to all forge ahead and be on one accord with making sure that this person who actually have made a number of decisions that did benefit us, right, while the media was spinning them another way, if we're not going to make a concerted effort to come together to bring him back in here, then I'm with D. I'm sitting this one out as well.
That's right. So people, in closing, as we close out, there's something that 45 Lies said that I have to address. He said, vote Trump to prison 2020. Well, if they're going to put us back in chains, that's one of those things that Biden would say. If they're going to put us back in chains, we just going to have to see. After this, after 4 more years of Trump, the Democrats are going to have to come with something else, because the revolution will not be televised on television. No, the revolution will be televised in the hospitals, because they have, the Indians from India have experimented on us, but they are not the same type of melanin as the black people here who have a heart to say live and let live. No, they're going to say, they're going to remember the British coming over and thinking of the American white as an extension of the Brit. And they're going to say, soon as we get a chance, we're going to go in our opinion here at hashtag TFRPodcastLive Presents Observations, they're going to go in and say, we're going to prescribe the wrong medicine that will kill them up, and we will take over the United States and be the new Indian Americans, the new Americans. So get ready for that, because the revolution will be televised in the hospitals. And people, that is it. We are out. We are out of time. This has been Observations by TFR Podcast Live. See you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart. Crazy.